Hey chaps, good evening. How's it all going? Rushing around a bit tonight, trying to get a video published and get the live up and rolling. So yeah, managed to get it all done and have dinner and pour myself a bourbon. Cheers, guys. Right, who we got here? Josh Homan, good to see you here. Chris Freemesser, Tavo, always good to have you here, mate. Tuesday Night Live on Wednesday, this Thursday morning. It's all a little confusing, isn't it? Driveway of Misfits, the stream has taken up entirely too many days of my week. Well, I shouldn't have taken up any time last night. Hopefully, too many of you weren't sat there waiting. I did put a post up to say it was postponed, but my little girl has been up in New York with her university studies, and so yeah, she just got back. So yeah, kind of had to devote an evening to her on her arrival home. So always good to have her around. So yeah, you guys missed out, I'm afraid. Yeah, family first and all that. Yes, Chris Freemesser, if Kev could keep his trousers on in public, we wouldn't have to cancel the stream yesterday to bail him out of jail again. Well, yes, don't tell anyone. 69 Coronet 500, hey, welcome to the room. Beagle Bob, who's sipping what tonight? I've got some Russell Reserve, nice. Mate, I've got myself another bottle of Jack Daniel's Apple, which I really quite like. I have to tell you, it's very, very drinkable. It's not harsh at all. It's smooth. It's not super powerful, but that's ideal for a live because I don't need to be getting kind of all shit faced and stuff. So yeah, I think it's 35% proof, so it's not rocket fuel like some bourbons, but it's good. It's tasty. Hits the spot. Chris Freemesser, water, plain, ordinary, clear water. Well, that is good for you. It is good for you. Tavo, coffee, trying to wake up properly. Gosh, how early is it there, Tavo? Old Timer F7, Kiwi, hey, welcome along, bud. Driveways, may I ask which university? Stella Adler. She's like a theatre major. She has just graduated and she's been up there for 3 months doing a summer course with Stella Adler, which is apparently a very big name in the whole theatre industry. Like the big names, a lot of the big names in acting and theatre have gone through Stella Adler, like Marlon Brando and people like that. So yeah, it's it was cool. Kia ora, Cuzzy. Tavo, you're learning a bit of Kiwi. Good on you, mate. Paul Funk, good evening. Good evening, sir. Beagle Bob is Kev wedged in the Sunbeam holding up that motor. Mate, it's going to take several Kevs to hold that motor up. That's not actually the motor for the car, but it was there on the floor. And, we lifted it out at the back of a probably pickup truck today. And it's just swing it in the hole and see just how tight it is. And it's tight. It's tight. I gained a new respect for Carroll Shelby and his efforts in getting that motor in there, because the initial look is like, there's no way in hell this is going to fit in here. Because if you took the water pump off and took all the front accessories off and just had a timing cover, there still wouldn't be room with a radiator in place. You could probably squeeze it in with no radiator, but what the hell's the point of that? But yeah, they did apparently beat the living shit out of the firewall to gain themselves some more inches. It honestly needs another 6 inches of engine bay. But, I am going to move the firewall back. And I am stretching the front of that car out by 3 3/4 inches, 4 inches, round figures. So and we're going to move the firewall back about 3-ish inches. So kind of got 7 inches there. So that will make a big difference. And it's really not hard to do if you say it fast. Yeah. All fun drinking cheap beer. Oh, well. Old timer. JD Apple is good. I happen to be fresh out of whiskey. Mate, that's no good. That's not very good planning on your part. Like, being out of whiskey is, yeah. Tavo, 9:30 a.m. Mate, you should be up and at it. You should have a couple of hours under your belt on the Valiant. Yeah. Yeah, or at least an hour and a half. Oh, LVG, drinking automatic trans flush by mistake. Oh, flushing the cooler. Well, yes, I wouldn't really advise that. Tech bits and pieces. Fun with the Sunbeam. Yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I've got some stuff I really should do on it first, but I'm just itching to not drag the Miata into the workshop and start cutting the shit out of that, and then cutting the shit out of the Sunbeam, and seeing if we can get them to talk to each other. Because to my knowledge, it's not been done. Similar, I mean, Miata's been used for a lot of conversions, like that chassis or body swap, chassis swap, whatever you want to call it. The Miata's pretty popular. So, yeah, it's a reasonable size, very good handling little car, super strong chassis on it. Like, I was blown away at how strong the chassis is. So, yeah, neat little thing. So, yeah, it's just looking at the wheelbase and where the passenger's compartment is within the wheelbase. Looks like it's going to throw us. Looks like that's going to be one of the bigger issues, is just where to situate the Sunbeam body over the Mazda chassis. And really, I think we've got to line the two, the rear wheel arches of the Sunbeam over the rear wheels of the Miata, and then make the rest fit. So it's going to be fun, but it'll be a challenge, and it's going to be fun because it's not something I've done before, which that's one of the joys of getting old, is you end up having done quite a bit. And I've done a lot of different things on a lot of different cars, and doing something new is when you're in your 20s and 30s, a lot of what you're doing is new. You get to my age and a lot of stuff's not new anymore, So kind of looking forward to it. Dean Stevenson, 101.6 in metric round figures, 4 inches. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting into the points of a millimeter, but yeah. Beagle Bob, with a stretch and a wide body, you might get away with swapping badges onto a bigger car. It will be a bigger car than what it started out life as, and it's a little crazy. I know. Dean Stevenson measure here. That's good. That's funny. I like that. It's a little crazy, and it's over the top, and it's. I have a picture of what it's going to look like, and it is a lot of work, but owning something unique these days is really tough. You can't just drop an engine in something and it be unique anymore. Like, everybody's done everything, and it's hard to find something that's not been done before. That Cougar Fastback that I worked on. I mean, we started on that, and then all these other ones started coming out of the woodwork. People were coming up with photos, and it had been done by the factory back in '67, and done by several people over the years as well. And it certainly, that was new to me, but it wasn't a new thing. But Sunbeam on a Miata, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I haven't seen any evidence of it, or anyone having done it yet. But hey. Tech bits and pieces, 10 a.m. in Sydney. There you go. Barry Cuda, when Carol Shelby died, I told a friend of mine and he said, "Who's she?" Oh dear. Is he still a friend? That's really not that so bad. Tama, closest I've been to the shed is to the back door to feed the dog. Kiwi Mars, she snuck into the house and then retracted her message. She's out of town. I think she's in, I don't actually know where she is. She's in some part of the States, maybe Florida or maybe North Carolina, somewhere. I'm not sure. Probably should know that, really, shouldn't I? Tech bits and pieces. All the diehard Sunbeam owners will be crying into their hankies. I've actually had less pushback about it than I thought I might get from some of the Sunbeamers. But I mean, in my defence, if it was a tiger that I was doing to, if it was an actual tiger and I was cutting it up to put on a Miata frame, I don't think I'd do that. The Tiger is not a super. It's a fairly desirable car. It's not like the real deal Cobra, but they're still quite a sought after car. So just doing it to an Alpine and a rotten one at that, that car was going to be lost back to Mother Nature if I hadn't decided to do what I'm doing to it. So anyone who wants to get antsy about it, well, so be it. In my mind, I've saved a Sunbeam Alpine, not destroyed it, because it'll still be driving around. People will notice, and it should be cool. That Beagle Bob. Hang on. My wife's having a discussion with Beagle Bob. I missed that. What happened? Oh, she's saying she wouldn't get away with switching the badges onto a bigger car. Yes. No. She's got a vision for the car too, which is kind of cool. That helps me because she's into it, and which that's a key factor. Chris Freemason, so something like a nice VW VR6 in the Sunbeam was never an option. Hadn't thought of that, I must admit. Hadn't thought of that, but Dean Stevenson, my middlework teacher said always measure across flats. Okay. Beagle Bob, if it wasn't crazy and lots of work and built to fit one of a kind, it wouldn't be worth near as much. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You've got it. Tavo, common chassis swaps here at Hilux 4x4. That'd go nice under the Sunbeam. Oh, no. Sorry, Tavo. I've got to disagree with that. No, it would be an interesting 4x4, but not what Mrs. Kiwi wants, or I want for that matter. Dean Stevenson, you're supposed to use 5 eyes to know her GPS coordinates. Yeah, it's all good. I know she's not far away. She's just on the other end of the phone. So yeah. Driveway Misfits, you really should know where she is. Otherwise, you're just guessing as to when the girlfriend needs to leave. Oh, yeah, thanks for throwing me under the bus there, bud. Yeah, no, I'm too old and tired for that shit. Check bits and pieces. You discovered Tavo's channel recently and started watching your content. Yeah, he puts up some good videos. Yeah, it's worth watching. The LVG, I think it's going to be a killer sleeper. The build videos are going to be great. Well, look, hopefully that's certainly the plan. And I'm going to try and it's probably going to be fairly heavy on the bodywork and the kind of the technical side of things. And yeah, hopefully it won't get too slow. I'm going to be trying, keep that in mind, trying to put out maybe a video a week on it. And it's not going to be like a week's worth of work, but it'll be a little bit of work, and as each little step goes, and so there might be quite a bit of that, speed up motion deal, as we're just, going through the motions of cutting and grinding, welding, cutting, grinding, welding, that kind of thing. But hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Andy Nickel, wait a minute, what day is this? I thought I slept through Tuesday. You did sleep through Tuesday, mate. Andy, oh no, Carvo, don't confuse him. Andy Nickel, it's Thursday morning. Well, it is Thursday morning somewhere. Yeah. Barry Cooter, Taro, what do you know about Sankey Benson wheels on Valiant? I've never heard of Sankey Benson wheels. Never ever. How about that? Huh. Never heard of that. Yeah, just checking a message here. Right. Where was I? Just taking a little sneaky look at how that video's going that I put out today. Okay, not too bad. Very cool. Paul Funk, be sure to hit the like button. Yes, please do, guys. Hitting the like button helps. Just helps the channel, not just the live, but helps the channel. The more interaction there is between, me / the channel and you guys, it helps the algorithm that they love to talk about. So yeah, hit the like button, and that would be cool. Okay. Turbo 17x7, like the ROH version 5 slot, but with a lip around the center. Okay. Oh, 14x7. Ooh. Getting hard to get. What's it like getting 14-inch tires over an Aussie now? Because I know it's pretty hard to get them here. Well, okay, if you just want 205 14s, that's easy and they're cheap. But if you want something a bit wider, they're a little hard to find, or quite hard to find. Tech bits and pieces. The Sunbeam build will be interesting to see. Yeah, I really think it will be. I really think it will be. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this Miata thing works out. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just, we'll default to a custom chassis, because there's a few measurements that have got me a little worried. But like lunchtime, I'll have a thought and I'll wander out to this Miata that's outside and throw a tape measure across it and then come back in. But really kind of waiting to get the two cars in the shop side by side and start cutting. And I think I can make the Mazda work. But, if it doesn't, I just found a 2000, I think it's a 2000. I'm pretty sure it was a 2000 Miata. And, on Facebook Marketplace. And within about 3 days, I'd sold enough parts of it that it was free. I actually made a small profit off the parts out of it. And, so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not the end of the world. It's not like got any money tied up into it. Just there'll be some time, obviously, but that's all. Dean Stevenson, why does it delete my Dean Stevenson location? Negative. I'm lost. You sound like you're in a bit of a state there, mate. It's a problem when you don't know where you are. Yeah. Yeah, take a photo of yourself just to make sure you're still there, mate. That would be my advice. Beagle Bob, are you and Steve mainly focusing on your own projects for a bit, or is there lots of off-camera work going on? It's a little bit of both. Definitely trying to focus more on my projects and kind of encouraging Steve to do the same with a little bit less. Steve typically comes in the afternoons to help work on customer cars, but we're scaling that back, the customer car work. So consequently, there's not as much for him to do on customer cars, so he's got more time to play with his car. And honestly, you guys, your enthusiasm for his car is rubbing off on him. He's getting more excited about it. So because it's stalled, it like a lot of projects. I mean, he's had it. If you watch that first video we kind of did on it, that project stalled for a very long time with his family and kids and buying houses and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, he's getting right back into it. So he's a good friend, and I'm trying to help him as much as I can, which is why you'll see him doing a lot of the work. It's not like Steve can't afford to pay me shop rate to work on it, and I'm a friend anyway. That was not how it would work, but I'm he's there in the shop, using the space, the equipment, and that's all. It's awesome. I'm quite happy to do that for him and point him and advise him. Thing with Steve too, he picks it up pretty quick. So you just you tell him do it this and this way, and he's like okay, and he's off, and he'll get it done. So yeah, but it would be nice to see him driving that car around. Tim Miller, well, I made it on time painting MGB green. Okay, cool. So you've just finished painting it green? That's the colour the Sunbeam's going to be. It's a pretty colour that Miss Kiwi found. It's a very dark, strong, dark green, metallic, with a lot, heavy on the metallics. Gorgeous, gorgeous colour. I think it'll be perfect for that car. Tavo, yeah, same here. 185, 195, 205 is plenty around. Looking at 225 or bigger, you can get them, but you're paying big spondulers. Sponduler, haven't heard that word for a long time. Hey, it's all a numbers game, isn't it? If they don't make many 225, 245, 14s, then the ones they do make, they've got to be fairly expensive. They make millions of 185s, I'm sure, for so they're cheap. Like I don't know what they are in Aussie, but I mean I got some for a Falcon not long ago. I think they were 195, like 70 14s, and they were like $69 each. It was just so cheap. Dino Stevenson, my guru says I have the answers inside myself, but GPS tells me where on earth I am. Oh dear, that's cool. Roy Miller, good to see you, man. A province, not a state. Yeah. LVG, question for Kiwi and the crew. Anyone have experience with lubricating a starter bender? I'm not sure what sort of experience you need with that, really. I mean, some cars you can probably get, depending on the car. Some of them, the older stuff, particularly English stuff, you could actually see or get to the Bendix without taking the starter motor out. But typically, it's just pop the starter motor out and give it a good, that whole Bendix sort of spiral deal they have. Just needs plenty of cleaning. Lots of brake clean. and lube it up again. A little bit of grease, just lightly, not nothing crazy, because it'll get spat out anyway. Just a smearing of it, and it should be good to go, mate. Dean's a wreck. I posted it in my shorts. I had to check inside myself. Well, okay, whatever floats your boat, mate. You don't check too deeply. Dean Stevens, it's a lead sled like Fleur Sullivan's son had an Otago Slam 54. There you go. Cool. Oh, Tim Miller Hood trying to match. Okay. Trying to colour match the green. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, green's not as bad as red, but yeah, never easy. Barry Cooter, it seems that the styled steel wheels on VH and later Valiants were also made by Sankey Benson. The same design was the early 70s and older, and either 70s and later Oldsmobile, but made by Hurst. Huh. There we go. No, I'd really never heard of Sankey Benson. Was that an Aussie-based company or a New Zealand-based? Hurst version's called an S11. Huh. Quite possible in New Zealand, as your cars did differ from a few ways from Aussie builds, local content stuff. Did Sankey Benson have a New Zealand foundry? Bet some of those wheels are be rare and worth some money now. Tim Miller, have air pumping belts cleaned and dressed. Get them by tonight. Okay. Not sure what you're talking about there, Tim. Air pumping belts. Oh, belt for the air pump on the MGB? You lost me. Sorry, man. LBG, cheers, thanks. That's what I thought. Just wanted to hear if there was any other thoughts. Okay, well, that's my thoughts on it. But yeah, I don't think there'd be a different way of doing it. Yeah, just don't go too heavy with the grease because you might gum things up. But just lots of oil or a little grease kind of thing. But the oil will fly off as well with the speed and things turn. But a little bit of grease will stay, where you put it. Tavo, our steel style wheels were R8. I remember the brand ROH. Yeah, I remember that. Sankey Benson was English based, first to make pressed steel wheels. Interesting. So what else has been going on? Spent a couple of days last week at Kevin Tates's place, putting a new bed together for Old Blue, the F100 truck, and going to pull that. It's a short bed, so we got that all put together, and so tomorrow afternoon, late-ish, we'll be pulling Old Blue and taking the old bed off and chopping up the chassis. So look out for that video coming your way. We got to cut it and take, I think, a bit of research, but I'm pretty sure from what I've read, it's 16 inches we got to take out of the chassis. So something I have done that before, long bed, short bed chassis conversions. It's not that hard a job. It's just a little, let's just say you've got to be very careful on your measurements because you're cutting something like fairly major. So you've got to get it right. Not close, but right. So yeah, that's what's coming up in the shop. So I've got to get that done so that we can put the new bed on, to help with Kevin's obligations with AMD. AMD supplied all the panel parts. They make every single bit of the short bed, all the tailgate mechanicals, all the linkages and parts and latches. They make all of that. So you can buy an absolutely brand new bed complete down to the last nut and bolt, all the little braces, that go onto the corner of the wheel arches to stop them flapping. That they got everything there. It's pretty good, actually. Pretty good. Team Steel. Oh, I'm talking about ROH wheels. ROH supplied them turbo. Yep. Barracuda. Maybe they were made by both. That wouldn't be unusual for wheel makers. That's true. Yeah. Often the manufacturers didn't want to put all their eggs in one basket in case there was a problem with supply. So yeah, and possibly the design itself, was owned by Chrysler or the Australian parent company. Tavo, bigger trucks are easy. We used to shorten a lot of them in my working days, re-drill and shift the axle forward, cut off the overhang. Yeah, that's the trick with the Chevy trucks, like the C10s and the Ford, F100 trucks, that the chassis do a little bit of this. So, they change height. So you have to find a flat bit and cut it there and shorten up the flat bit. You can't just move the axle forward because the way the chassis kicks up. But yeah, on the big trucks, the chassis rails are just a straight old beam, aren't they? Steve Sadusky, hey mate, how you doing? Just stopped by to say hello. Not feeling well. That's no good. I found my best friend in his garage last night, deceased. Wow. That's shocking, mate. I'm not up to the chat tonight. Maybe next week. Well, mate, I'm really sorry to hear that. Really sorry to hear that. That's awful. That's awful. Yeah, that's not something you want to come across. Anybody, let alone a friend or family member. That's awful. Well, sorry to hear that, man. Look after yourself, mate. That's that's pretty shocking. You need some good people around you to kind of help with that. That would not have been nice at all. Hang in there, bud. Yeah, that's awful. Sorry to hear that, man. Tavo, big trucks are straight rail front to back. Yeah, and heavy. That takes some cutting and welding, though. You'd need a big old welder for that. Dean Stevenson, still looking for his ass. It's okay. Use GPS to find my ass. I was at Birch Street by the wharf in Dunedin. No alien abduction today. Oh, good Lord. Like the old Dean Stevenson, like the old AWF ad. Thank you, GPS. You found my ass. Paul Funk, sorry to hear that, Steve. Yeah, that's some bad news, man. It's that'll rock your world. It would rock your world for sure. Yeah, there's just nothing good you can say. There's no magic phrase to make something like that help people feel better. There's just not. It just takes some time. Takes some time. But just finding out, it'd be bad enough getting the phone call, but to actually, that would be awful. Well, hang in there, bud. We're all thinking about you. So, hopefully we'll see you next week. So, how many NASCAR fans are in the room, and how many of you are ultra impressed by SVG? Shane Van Gisbergen had his 4th win in his rookie season in NASCAR. Okay, they've all been road courses, but the boy can drive. The boy can drive, and he's a Kiwi. So, we've got a Kiwi in Formula One. We got a Kiwi in NASCAR, a bunch of Kiwis in Aussie touring cars, and yeah, kind of good. Makes you feel proud. Really does. Barracuda had the odd late night drag race at Friat Street near the wharfs back in the day. Yes. What is it with wharfs and stuff? That used to be, there was a place called Beaumont Street, and was still there in Auckland, where I grew up in the North Island. And yeah, we would head down there Friday or Saturday nights and do some drag racing. It was a fairly long straight road, but I mean, close into downtown. Obviously, because a lot of cities are based around the harbour and the wharves and all the business activity going on there. But yeah, there was huge tanks there, like not tankers, but huge tanks that would fill the tankers to then deliver the fuel out to the different gas stations. So there was us, driving these sometimes questionable hot rods, trying to drag race them all in amongst these huge gas tanks. Yeah, it was. Those were the days. Those were the days. Maybe not the smartest thing to do, but when you're kind of 20 years old, you're really not at your smartest, are you? Let's be honest. Paul Funk, me, go SVG. Good on you, man. Good on you. Dean Stevenson, yeah, you could end up in a really difficult situation, Kiwi. Josh Homan, God rest your friend's soul. Thanks, guys. Thanks for, yeah. You guys are good people. LVG. See, LVG, that's where your acronym came from, is SVG. Slightly different, but LVG, not a NASCAR fan, but my dad is trying to get tickets for the race on North Island in San Diego. Okay, North Island. Haven't heard of that. Tech bits and pieces. Don't forget Scott McLaughlin. Exactly. Yeah, IndyCars. Exactly. Yeah. The list goes on, doesn't it? Really. We had someone in WRC, Hayden Patton. He was a good Kiwi boy. I used to rally with his dad. It's funny, isn't it? I used to rally with Hayden Patton's dad, who became a competitor in the World Rally Championship. And I used to rally with SVG, or Shane Van Gisbergen's dad, back in the day. So that's the thing about New Zealand. It's a small place, 5 million people total, all up. So, like if you're into motorsport, it's a relatively small community, Dean Stevenson, I watched the drags there until the traffic lights went in from 90 to 95. 454 AMC convertible did low 12s. Wow. And a 1380 Clubman at 15 too. Barracuda McLaughlin is potentially even more of a weapon. Yeah, the two of them are tech bits and pieces. Possum Born. Yep. Yeah, I've met and spoken with Possum when he was alive. Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty tragic how we lost him and his co-driver Roger Freeth. That was awful. But yeah, it's a high risk occupation. Motor racing is a high risk occupation. Dean Stevenson, I love NAS truck. Okay, the truck racing. I used to follow NASCAR a lot when I first got into the head of the States, and I kind of, drifted away from it, to be honest. Some of the names left, and then I like watching it when there was the likes of Carl Edwards in there and Tony Stewart, and some of that era. Most of the names, well, maybe not most, but a lot of the names I don't know anymore in NASCAR. But I am, now that SVG's shown up, obviously that's piqued my interest a little bit. So yeah, starting to follow it more and more. I'm really looking forward to him winning his first oval track race, because he's getting a lot of flack for being. People are calling him a one trick pony, because he can. And this is how they phrase it: he can only win on a road course, and it fascinates me that the people saying that seem to think, or seem to be under the impression that a road course is easier than oval track, and it's really not. Oval track racing is a special set of skills, and understanding it and how it works. It is a real. It's a race of fractions of a second. You can't. There's not really any braking on an oval, so you can't like out brake someone into a corner, or so it's very different than oval track racing. But if you can be quick on a road course, and quick on a wet road course, then you're a good driver. You're a good driver if you can win on the ovals. Obviously, none of those boys are bad drivers, but I do, and I may be biased, I'll give you that. I do think it's a more demanding of your skills, when you have to brake, turn left, turn right, accelerate, and not fry the tires. Those cars have got so much power, you can't just romp on them, just stand on it coming out of every corner, because you'll just break into wheel spin. It's all about being ultra super smooth, and it's not just keeping it pinned and round and round an oval like Talladega or Daytona, where they lift a little and then carry on. There's not a lot of braking going on, and that to me doubles the work rate, the workload. If you've got to not only drive around the corners fast, you've got to brake for them, and then exit the corners as quick as you can. There's a lot more to do. You're much busier. Tech bits and pieces. Possum was a great rally driver. Yeah, he was. He was right up there. He was world level. He's not world champion, but world level for sure. World class. Yep. Driveway misfits. Wait a second. Am I the only American in the chat? No, I don't think so. What do we got? Paul Funk, Colorado. Biggle Bob. Yep. Not quite. Chavo, I gave up on motor racing when the Brock Moffat, Grice, Richards era passed. Yeah, that was a special time, and Aussie touring cars to me have lost a little bit of their gloss since they've gone to this, one chassis for everybody and fiberglass bodies. It lost something when they did that. I liked it when it was the race teams actually went to Holden to get their bodies, and the Falcon guys, Ford guys went to and picked up Falcons from the factory, and they could buy them stripped out. Not stripped out. It's not really the right term. They bought them semi-assembled. Effectively, they would buy just a body shell with some mechanicals in it, and even stuff like the wheel tubs left out of them. The factory wheel tubs. Because they would put bigger ones in there, so the teams could buy the cars semi-built almost. And the factories really got behind them. And if a Ford Falcon won, it was a Ford Falcon, and it won. Or if it was a Commodore, it won. Or a Valiant, they genuinely were. And NASCAR used to be like that. The cars, they got cars off the showroom floor, so to speak, and turned them into race cars. Now they're fully space framed. They're bringing Toyota into Aussie touring cars. Well, how many front engine V8 Toyotas have you ever seen? They certainly don't make them. That's like NASCAR. The Toyotas in NASCAR are not based on on any production car. It's just a standardized chassis, and yeah, it all lost a little bit when that happened. And they did it for cost cutting reasons and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not as big. I still love watching the Aussie touring cars. I do, and it's all Camaros and Mustangs now, which again is not very Aussie. Yes, you can buy a new Mustang in Australia, right-hand drive new Mustang, but you can't buy a new Camaro right-hand drive in Australia. They're not. Yeah, you can't go to your GM dealer and buy a Camaro. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Aussie boys, Tavo and Co. But that's my understanding is you can't go to the local Holden dealer and buy a Camaro. Barry Cooder. I just discovered last night that Larry Perkins drove for Chris Amon's F1 team in '74. Yeah, I do remember something about that. Larry Perkins is a hell of a driver. Hard man from all accounts. Very, because he was like a team owner and driver. And yeah, I knew a guy, kind of friends, loosely, yeah, not close friend, but a friend, cross between a friend and an acquaintance, friend of friends, really. And he worked for Larry Perkins for quite a while, as a tech or a mechanic or whatever you want to call it, building engines and race cars and stuff for him. And apparently he was very demanding. You didn't take any nonsense. And he would tell you exactly what he thought of you if he didn't like what you were doing. Yeah, he did not pull any punches from all accounts, but he got the job done. So, I guess that's a lot to be as a team owner, manager, and top, the number one driver as well. So he was wearing a lot of hats. So I guess he didn't have time to fuck about. Chris Freemesser, we don't know. Are you real? The Lower Man's Vintage Garage. My dad's favourite is Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, he's a popular boy, for sure. A lot of skill. Him and Chad Knaus made a hell of a team, didn't they? Barry Cooter. Americans are welcome here if they're well behaved. Paul Funk, 4,400 feet here in Fruta. Where the heck is that? Which is on the western slope. Okay, never heard of that. Barry Cooter, Larry Perkins, another weapon, indeed. Yeah, a very, very skilled guy on many levels. Never had never kind of had the cult status like Brocky had. But he was, in my opinion, as good as Brocky. But yeah, Brocky was very media savvy. He had kind of the look, and he could talk the talk, and but yeah, he was more of a driver and less of a team owner than Perkins was. But yeah, Larry was just a little gruff, and yeah, just didn't have. He had a lot of fans. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like Brock was adored. Peter Brock, the Aussie driver, was just adored by his fans, like godlike status. Paul Funk, want to move here permanently since Denver is ruined. Oh, no. Dean Stevenson, a reel is a number that can be used to measure a continuous one-dimensional quantity such as a duration or temperature. That's getting very technical. You kind of lost me after a reel. Yeah. Tech bits and pieces. I don't follow the supercar series anymore. Lost interest when it became a body shell only to recognise. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. You know, so I get it. I understand tech bits. Still some close racing though, and they go left and right, and they do street courses, which street courses are just awesome in my opinion. So tech bits and pieces. No V8 Supras on the road. Yeah, I mean I agree, but I mean the Toyota NASCARs are Camrys. Well, you know, I think the biggest engine a Camry ever had was a V6, and then it was a weak one at that. You know, and I'm not sure that Toyota even make the motors in those Toyota NASCARs. Beagle Bob, we cannot go and buy a Camaro either, if I'm not mistaken. Really? Where are you, Beagle Bob? Why did I think you were stateside? You certainly buy them in the States. Are you in Canada, but hopefully I'm not offending you there. Drivo Misfits, Beagle Bob, not a new one. GM discontinued them for some bizarre. Seriously? I missed that? I didn't know they discontinued Camaros. Really? Tavo, true that, Kiwi. No such thing as a Holden dealer now. Well, no, I guess not. The few US-based vehicles we can get, RAM, etc., are converted by the old HSV works. Oh, wow. Didn't know that. Yeah. So what... they're still selling cars badged as, like Opals and stuff, badged as Holdens, though, aren't they now, even though we all know they're not really a Holden. So there's no such thing as a Holden dealer. What's the name of the dealership now? Like, what product are they selling? Is it Opal or something, or like what's happening there? Tech bits and pieces. Larry Perkins was Brock's teammate and engineer for some time. Actually, yeah, that's true. I think you're right. Yeah. Ooh, that would have been a clash of personalities, wouldn't it? Barracuda. Jim Richards was as good as Brock, but not so keen on attention. I tell you where Jimmy Richards was even better than Brock was in the wet. That guy could drive in the wet. Like he was a master of the wet. He was very, very good. And I would go as far as to say better. Yeah, as I said, better than Brock in the wet. Josh Homan. I think that may be a reason NASCAR is losing popularity. They are struggling a little bit. Paul Funk, Toyota NASCAR engines are built in California. So are they actually a Toyota designed, but made in America, or is it some other company? Tech Bits, WAU do all the Ram and Silverado conversions. There you go. Beagle Bob, you and everyone else don't know they discontinued them, which means you're not even window shopping, which is probably why. Only performance car from Chevy is the Corvette. Mate, I mean, not that I've ever gone looking for a new Camaro, but I missed the memo on that one. Huh, I had no idea. I guess they weren't selling enough of them. That's crazy. Wow, because they made a lot of them. Paul Funk, I have a Toyota Avalon with a V6, and it's by far the best car I've ever owned, and it's Hall's ace. Okay, fair enough. Try to build good cars. Don't. I hope I didn't sound like I was ragging on Toyota, but Toyota, they build the best cars in the world. That's kind of a given, really. They're number one everywhere. Yeah, they make excellent cars. But the V6 Camrys, I have not driven an Avalon, and I guess to be fair, I'm talking about some of the older Camrys. I haven't driven anything Yeah, this is where time gets away on you a little bit. I mean, if I'm honest about it, it's probably I haven't the newest Camry I've driven is probably in early 2000s, and they were a little bit weak then, in my opinion. But that's 20 years ago, you know. But yeah, didn't time just fly? Wow. It's hard for me to get my head around a 2005 automobile now is 20 years old. It's it's crazy. For me, it's crazy. Tavo, no, the Holden name is no more. The brand is discontinued. Wow, that's yeah, it's sad, really. I thought they were going to keep it on and just like rebadge different manufacturers, different GM Europe or GM America or whatever, and rebadge them as Holdens, or even Isuzus. I mean, they badged Isuzus as Holdens for a long time. So what's the name of the dealership now? What's the product? What or is there just no GM dealership of any description anymore? Dean Stevenson and for Dick Johnson for a season. Okay, yep. Tech Bits. Jim Richards is a very good driver. Yeah, he is. I did they have a Targa rally in New Zealand, which is like the Targa Tasmania, this New Zealand version of that. And I was riding with a guy in an Evo 3, I think it was, Mitsubishi, and we were kind of trading times with Jim Richards in a Porsche. Ultimately, we went flying off the road because we were trying to trade times with Jim Richards, and it lasted for a little while, but not quite long enough. Hang on, what do we got going on here? Beagle Bob, I'll take the Canadian comment on the cheek. Sorry, mate. I thought you were stateside. You just the whole Camaro thing going out of production. It's like he must be talking about a different country where you can't buy them. I just assumed that you could still buy Camaros in the US, and you can't. So that's really kind of shocked me. Driveway of Misfits, Tavo. That's a travesty. It would be like GM discontinuing the Chevrolet brand in the US. Yeah, exactly. Paul Funk. Yes, TRD design. Oh, so it is Toyota Race Developments. Well, that scores a point with me. Beagle Bob, it was probably a bigger deal the first time they discontinued it. Okay, yeah, that's true. Camaro has gone and come back again, isn't it? Don Thompson, hello, Mr. Kiwi from Toasty PDX. Cheers, mate. Where's PDX? What's that an acronym for? Don't know. You have to enlighten me. Driveway of Misfits. Any owner of a recent Tacoma or Tundra might disagree with you, Kiwi. Yes, actually, I heard they've been having some engine troubles. Toyota, they're doing a massive recall. Yeah, everybody's going to have their issues. Every manufacturer is going to have rough patches. But Toyota's been a very good product for a very long time. Tech Bits and Pieces. Many people like to think Holden was an Australian company. It was simply the Aussie arm of GM, the GMH brand from years ago. Yeah, but simply an Aussie arm. Yeah, I'm not sure of how the financials worked on that. I must admit, I did think they were under the GM umbrella, but they were a standalone company, was my understanding. But I could easily be wrong on that. Tavo, correct, Tech Bits. WAU took over HSV. Well, no, HSV is Holden Special Vehicles. What's WAU stand for? Oh, is that Walkinshaw? WAU. Probably Walkinshaw would be my guess. So let me know if I'm warm. Beagle Bob drove a 2025 Corolla as a rental. Hated that thing. It was plenty quick, but rattled like hell. Rattled the hell out of me. Okay. And it sounded like half the plastic inside was loose. Oh, really? Interesting. Interesting. Tavo, Isuzu dealers generally service and supply parts for Holdens until they no longer need to. Oh, wow. Wow. Gosh, some of those HSV Commodores are going to just go ballistic in price, aren't they? They're going to be worth so much money. Get your hands on an interesting HSV Commodore. It's just a fantastic investment. Tech bits and pieces. Holden Motor Bodies was 100% Australian until 1931 when GM bought it cheap during the Depression. At that time, they were almost exclusively contracted to GM for bodies, though. Oh, yeah. Huh. Barracuda. I think Jim Richards decided they were playing too rough in the muscle car racing and too expensive. Huh. Is that Touring Car Masters you're talking about, Barry? Dean Stevens, exactly. The Australians needed to realise it wasn't ever a standalone company. Okay. Yeah, Holden Brothers Coachworks eventually bought by GM. I didn't realise it was still owned by American. Interesting. You should learn something every day, don't you? Hey, nobody's commented about one. You haven't even shown you my shirt, have you? Look at this one. This is what Mrs. Kiwi bought. Yeah, arrived in the mail for me. She bought me that. So read that. It's kind of funny. I like it. So yeah, there you go. New shirt for the week. Tech Bits, WAU is Walkinshaw. Yeah, I did. Yeah, the WA kind of made me, tipped me off to that. Paul Funk, I drove to Kentucky and took a tour of the Toyota plant. Kentucky is a beautiful state. Yes, it is. Hope to visit Tennessee. And if you do, mate, come down and see me. Come down and see me. I had a couple of Kiwi people in a Kiwi couple in the workshop today. Came and spent a couple of hours with me visiting from New Zealand. And this was a guy that I know from my late teens. So it's like 40 years ago. 40 and change. And I hadn't seen him since then. And yeah, he stumbled into me on YouTube, and I know that guy. He's thinking, and yeah, so they reached out, and they're doing a 6-week tour around the States, and they popped in to say hi. So that was a good couple of hours just catching up on which hot rodders are doing what and where. What happened to people, who died, who didn't, who got married, who got divorced, and yeah, it was a good day today. I'll be honest with you. Dean Stevenson, especially not when it was bankrupted in '84, producing the Chimera J car and the exported credits, earning family two engine. GM Flint then realised Australian Holden deserved a financial shore up. Okay. That Chimera was a horrible car, wasn't it? Barracuda, yes, Jim Richards stopped racing in the Touring Car Masters. Yeah, okay. He's not a young man anymore, though. How old would Jim Richards be? And that's pretty. I mean, they take that very seriously. That Touring Car Masters. It's great viewing. If anyone's watching tonight that hasn't seen Australian Touring Car Masters on YouTube, you need to go and have a look at it. It's some extremely good racing, and you get a nice mix of cars, American and Australian. And the boys try hard. Like, some of these cars are worth a lot of money. Like a lot of money. and yeah, they're trying hard and they're sticking them in the wall and they're tipping them upside down, and yeah, they and these are cars you can't get parts for anymore. These are old, older cars. Yeah, it's some of the Falcons and stuff they're running. If you tear up a rear quarter, then someone's got to make one for you. Actually make the quarter, not buy one and weld it on. Go and get yourself a big old sheet of steel and turn it into a quarter. So yeah, you can imagine the cost of that. Yeah, where was I up to here? Dean Stevenson, GM USA then split GM Holden in two parts, Holden Engine Company and the production facility for vehicles. I had no idea, mate. No idea. It's interesting stuff, though. Max Level, good evening, Kiwi. Good evening, sir. Good to have you here. Curious to know about the car you had 40 years ago, as well as your hot rodding buddy. Well, the hot rodding buddy today was Charlie White, pretty well known in hot rodding circles in New Zealand. Been around, for 45 plus years. He's 70 now. And I remember, if he just rocked into the shop and said hi, I would not have recognised him. I wouldn't have known him. But they reached out kind of via YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that. And then the gears started turning. It's like, you do look familiar, Tell you what, 40 years, that changes how you look. Changes how you look. And he's a very, very, healthy looking 70-year-old. And, sharp mind and funny guy. And, I had an excellent time. Curious to know about the car you had 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I had a 1966 Buick Electra two-door hardtop with a 425 nail head in it. That was probably the last hot rod I owned in New Zealand. Prior to that, I'd had like a 69 Torino, 67 Thunderbird. What else did I have? 63 Dodge, 63 Plymouth. I had quite a few old American stuff. And Studebaker Cruiser. Quite a kind of an eclectic mix of stuff. So that's what I was doing 40 years ago, messing with those things. Dean Stevenson, both were fully solvent after supplying Borg-Warner axles, PBR brakes, and Family 2 and Ecotec engines worldwide. Paul Funk, so what new cars are being sold in Australia and New Zealand? Well, Australia and New Zealand have pretty similar models as far as I know. But a lot of Japanese stuff, predominantly Japanese, and to a lesser extent European, and to a much lesser extent American. Mainly because of the whole left-hand drive, right-hand drive thing. A lot of American cars are not produced in right-hand drive. So while they might want to bring them in a lot of cases they can't, which is what Tavo was saying earlier, and one of the guys was saying earlier, that like Dodge Ram trucks, the big Chevy trucks, GMC Sierras and stuff like that, the small number of those that come in and get converted to right-hand drive, because Chevy doesn't make them in right-hand drive. Ford have Mustangs available, but that's, as you can imagine, you don't sell a lot of new Mustangs in Australia and New Zealand, not at $12 for a gallon of fuel. They're much, New Zealand, Aussie markets are much more into their smaller engined cars. A lot of predominantly Japanese. We got Nissan, Mitsubishi, Toyota, all the mainstream Japanese stuff. Koreans, the Hyundais and Kias and all that sort of stuff. Um, yeah, hang on. I got a bit behind here. Here we go. Tavo. Wasn't Jim racing the big AMC in that? Yeah, I think he was. Javelin? Was AMC Javelin? I think. Not sure. Barracuda. Hope I'll be able to keep getting parts for my Commodore if needed. That's going to be interesting to see how the aftermarket responds. I think they will to getting stuff for that all the Commodores and even the earlier Holdens. But yeah, there's enough of them there to warrant somebody making the stuff for them. I mean, stuff like wheel cylinders and that high turnover stuff is going to be relatively easy, ball joints and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be tricky if you really want to hold on to your Commodore for a long time. Commodore. If you really want to hold on to your Commodore for a long time, I would be stockpiling parts, honestly. That's what I'd be doing. And if you come across any new old stock parts, just grab them, just on the off chance that you might just need them one day. And the beauty with it, like if you stockpile that stuff, even if you don't end up using it, someone's going to pay you good money for it. So you're not wasting your money buying up parts. But yeah, if there's people around with parts, yeah, grab them. That'd be my advice. Yeah, just gobble them up. Paul Funk, Kiwi YouTubers bought a Ford Ranger Raptor. Okay. Yeah, they make a Ranger Raptor and Down Under, but they don't bring in the full-size Raptor. Barracuda, the early Mustang and Camaro racers can get any part they need brand new. Yeah, well, this is it. Mustangs and Camaros, yeah, but not. Yeah, let's see you do that with a VG Valiant or a EH Holden or a that's a little tougher. 40 years ago, Tavo, 40 years ago, I just bought my CK Chrysler fully loaded 360. Nice. Paul Funk, Buick Electras are called Deuce and a Quarter here. Yeah, it was a Buick Electra 225, which is Deuce and a Quarter. Yeah. Don't know whatever happened to that car. I sold it. I must have been 22 or 3, something like that. So in the early 80s, and never saw it again. Never heard of it again. I don't know what happened to it. Pretty rare car. I mean, fairly rare car here. But New Zealand, I don't know that it was the only one, but it could well have. I knew of another 4-door, and my one was a 2-door. That was the only 2 that I was aware of in New Zealand. But of course, that's pre-internet day, so it was a little bit harder to, there could have been one in the South Island that you just wouldn't hear about, Nowadays with the internet, you kind of know where everything is. Tech Bits, Jim Richards, yes, Jim Richards raced an AMC and Touring Car Masters. Granddad's Junk, how are you doing, man? Good to have you along. We're going to get those measurements for you for that Remu, but I just been busy, and it's not like I'm in a dying, desperate hurry, but I will get that to you soon. Mrs. Kiwi is very touched by your offer. She's very, very grateful. So yeah, she was just blown away when I told her about that you were going to supply the timber, the wood for the dashboard, and in a native New Zealand timber. So yeah, she's really excited about that. So yeah, thank you, sir. Barracuda, yes, Jim raced a Javelin and before that a Mercury Comet. Okay, I think I've seen some footage of him in the Comet. Josh Homan, because they were around 225 inches long, they were a huge car, man. Huge car. It was the biggest. Well, back then it was certainly the biggest car I'd driven. And it was pretty sprightly too. It had a 425 nail head in it, which they actually only came out with a 401, but someone had swapped it for a 425 somewhere along the line. And it wasn't that old a car back then either, because that would have been, let's say, around 1980, 81, 82, 3, something like that, when I had it. So it was, 15 years old? So it wasn't really that old. Is my math working there? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It was, it wasn't, the car wasn't that old. It was 4 years younger than me, 5 years younger than me. It was 66. So, yeah. And I was 20 something. So it would have been 16-ish years old, not that old. But it already had a different engine swapped into it. Yeah, what have we got here? Dean Stevenson, the 9-bolt axle in F cars from 84 to 91 was supplied via Holden, or 9-bolt, not 9-inch. Via Holden contacts with BTR, the Corvette brakes via PBR, the J car engines in Germany and UK via Holden Engine Company. Oh, they were pretty busy, weren't they? Beagle Bob had to step away for a minute, added some more charcoal to my charcoal grill, had a pork butt going just over 12 hours now, not almost done. Nice. That'll be good eating. Hang on, shot down the page there. Tavo, Korea has a stranglehold on the market here. Kia and Hyundai for SUVs, Ford and Toyota fighting it out over the dual cab ute market. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, just on price, probably the Kias and Hyundais, right? I'm guessing. Beagle Bob, maybe someone else here can educate us, but I thought Isuzu makes the Duramax engines for GM. That's quite possible. But I don't know one way or the other. Dean Stevenson, the South African Opel Record 3800 engines via GM Holden Engine Company's US CKD kits from Australia, which stands for completely knocked down. So, like a giant AMT kit, or monogram kit. They arrived in a crate, just all the parts, and they put them together. Chavo, aftermarket is already doing well over the ditch. Yeah. I mean, it'd be smart to get into it, because the Aussies and the Kiwis love their Australian cars, and rightly so. I completely didn't always see it. I didn't. I was very focused on American cars, and I didn't really rate the Aussie cars. And yeah, I changed my stance on that, shall we say. But you get older and smarter, Dean Stevenson, the Daewoo Pontiac Le Mans 2-litre engine was Australian. Daewoo. Ugh. Huh. Barracuda. Oh, yeah, I think you're right. The Falcon Sprint, someone else has a comment. Okay. Tech bits and pieces. Some last model Commodore parts are already hard to get. Really? Wow. That's crazy. Oh, funk. The Ranger Raptor looks cool, but the steering wheel is on the wrong side. Well, that's just it. You see, it's actually on the right side, not the left side. So depending how you interpret the word, it's on the right side. Yeah, Beardhead's Junk, Tavo, Barracuda, Beagle, all the brothers are here. Yep. All the usual suspects are in the house. It's just kind of cool. Paul Funk, I think the Duramax engine is designed by Isuzu but made here in the States. Interesting. Yeah, well, the smartest thing Mopar ever did was get the Cummins V8. V8. The Cummins diesel. Yeah, that was the best thing they did, was outsourcing the engines to a company that specialises in diesel. Ford struggled with their diesels, and GM struggled a bit with their diesels as well. Grenad's junk, Dean. Are you thinking of clone? You're not watching too many sci-fis. Yeah, here we go. Dean Stevens, I'm always worried when Dougster Wolverine Garage Stirrers isn't here. I haven't heard him call that before. Well, I'm an alien, so it's okay. I'm okay with it. Yeah. Well, I'm an alien too. A legal one, but I'm an alien. Granny's junk. We're on our way for dinner. Yum yum. Where you off to, Granddad? Nick Hendricks. Hey, bud, how you doing? Haven't seen you in here for a little while. It's been a while. Hey, Chris, hope all is going well. I had the New Zealand Hot Rodder mag with the Buick in it. That was an awesome car. Didn't you do a white pearl on it? Yes. Yeah. It's painted it pearl white, or white pearl. And yeah, it wasn't the New Zealand Hot Rod mag. God, that's so long ago. Yeah, I had that when I was first getting into rallying, and then rallying kind of took over, and the Buick got moved along. But yeah, I remember tearing around Riverhead Forest in that Buick, making a lot of noise, having some fun. Yeah, and it was pearl white with like a metallic gold vinyl roof, and it was a good-looking car. Really good-looking, huge, but a good-looking car. Won a couple of burnout contests in it, like 2 years in a row down at the snow run in Turangi. So yeah, a lifetime ago. Dean Stevenson, Kiwis Customs and Clunker Repair and Rejuvenation is now a real non-alien Kiwi American. That's right, mate. I am a Kiwi American. Got the passport and everything. Josh Homan, wouldn't the Duramaxes be made by Detroit Diesel? Don't know. Granddad's showing AI is going to get out of control. Max Headroom, God, that's an old show, isn't it? Max Headroom. I remember that though. Dean Stevenson, well, I'm liking you almost as much as the real one. Nick Hendricks, the Rema will add a nice touch to the Sunbeam. Do you need some shoehorns to get the engine in it? Yes, I certainly do. Yeah, they. I mean, I've seen a Tiger. I had quite a long, close look at one. That there's a one that's not far from me here in Franklin, Tennessee, and it's shoehorned in there for sure. And yeah, like swinging that motor in the hole today was like, wow, this really is tight. We've got to find at least 6 inches minimum from somewhere to make it serviceable, you know. Yeah, driveway with Chris Freeman. It's already out of control. I work in the tech industry. Yeah. Authenticator success 12 out of 10. Barracuda Kiwi, do you know of the New Zealand YouTube channel, The Roaring Season? No, I don't. Interesting stuff about old race cars, New Zealand ones particularly. The Roaring Season. No, not aware of that. Okay, I'll have to go looking for it. That'd be kind of cool. Beagle Bob. Ford started struggling when they wanted to do some of International Navistar's job for them. My 7.3 was built by Navistar in Indiana. Okay. Yeah, the 7.3 hasn't got a great name, does it? The LVG got the tranny cooler flushed on the 60. Came out like a lovely colour of mud. Nice. That can never be good. Dean Stevenson, I remember it well, Kiwi. Yep. Paul Funk, no, Duramax is not Detroit diesel. There you go. Tech bits and pieces. Always good to proofread when AI produces content. Yeah, it still trips up a little bit, doesn't it? But it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it's only going to get better. That's the scary thing is like some of these sci-fi movies. I can see them becoming reality because the AI is learning. It's learning. How to do content, and so it's actually able to teach itself how to write content. So at what point is it going to cross over and start making decisions? It's interesting stuff. Scary stuff, really. Also fixed the 80%, 85% of the wrong information on the AI post. Paul Funk, I thought Detroit Diesel and Allison transmission is partially owned by Penske. Oh, wow. I had no idea. Dean Stevenson. Buy a few Chinese tech guys, offer them some free kiwi fruits, and get them in the room with you. Drive by a misfits. You'd take over the world. The world. Over der Welt. Yes, indeed. Allison is General Motors. I'm sure that Detroit Diesel is as well. Could be wrong. There you go. Do not know that stuff. I'm just kind of locked in my little historical part of the world where kind of lost in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. LVG, AI can never turn screws. We are the last holdout. Yep, we are. You're absolutely right. Until their robots start. I mean, you've seen how many robots they have on an assembly line now? Wow, it's pretty wild. This apple bourbon's going down well. I'm going to run out before my time's up. Might have to sneak off and get a topper. Dean Stevenson, as long as AI makes the same bad decisions my wife, Mrs. Ecstasy, does, I'll be fine, fellas. Oh, my goodness. So, it's gone quiet. I'll show you another. I got 2T. I'm not sure what I did. Maybe it was because I started working on the Sunbeam, but I must have got myself in the good book somehow. So this was the other shirt she got me. Let me see if I can get that close enough that you can read it. I thought that was pretty funny. I like the last one, the torque, how far the wall moves. I'm all about torque. Horsepower's, Because horsepower is just an equation of torque times RPM. Torque is what moves you. So I thought that was a pretty cool shirt. What do you boys think? Chris Freeman, the worst part of AI is that it allows people to not have to think anymore. That's an awfully slippery slope. Well said. Yep, very true. Dean Stevenson and Kiwi is still making more sense as he tanks up. Yeah, I have to admit, I am getting a little bit of feedback from that bourbon. Just a little. Just a little. The LVG, he's laughing. My shirt, I guess. Nice shirt, Kiwi, Paul Funk. Truer words have never been spoken. Yep. Barracuda. I googled the weight of a VH Valiant sedan, 3,100 pounds for the Hemi 6 and 3,800 pounds for the 318 version. Wow, that's a lot more weight. I can't see where the extra 700 pounds comes from with the V8. Yeah, well, I wouldn't think it would be more. The engine wouldn't have been much more than 150 pounds heavier, I wouldn't have thought. Heavier transmission, heavier rear axle, I'm not sure. I'm guessing. Maybe they put a bit more metal in it to handle the torque. More torque, more bigger, thicker torque box or something like that. But 700 pounds does seem a lot. Maybe they were optimistic at the 3,100 pounds. Maybe they were lying about their weight. Yeah. Beagle Bob, almost as nice as the Super Kev shirts my wife and I have. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one though. That would make a good good Kiwi Classic shirt. That one. The logo on the front and then that on the back or something like that would be a good shirt. Get it, Tech Bits, get a top up. Josh Homan, actually it requires them to think even more because it's so frequently wrong. Yeah. Dean Stevenson, I'm still awaiting my Timu. Let's make recreational plutonium legal as a recreational drug. Oh my goodness, really? That's a t-shirt? Recreational plutonium. Good grief. Tavo, Barracuda, it's about 300 pounds including the torque fight. No other goodies, power steer, AC, etc. Must have been loaded with something to get 700 pounds more. Barracuda, Google isn't always correct. That's very true. Now, talking about weights and Googling specs and stuff like that, I've had a couple of guys email me about not putting an LS in the Sunbeam, like almost pleading with me to not put an LS in the Sunbeam because an aluminum. They're saying, both of them are actually saying, they're that a small block Ford with aluminum heads is actually slightly lighter than an LS. An all aluminum LS, which kind of surprised me. And then I did a bit of Googling, and an aluminum block, like an LS3 aluminum block, is only, I think it was, I can't remember the numbers now, was like 25 pounds lighter than a small block Ford cast iron block, which kind of surprised me. So, no one's been commenting on engines for the Sunbeam. I had a lot of people off that video suggesting the Rover V8. I'm going to look at, like a late model. The old 3.5 litre Rover V8 is, it's just not. I'm not going to go to that much trouble of squeezing a V8 into it to put a 3.5 litre Rover V8 in it. The later model Jags and Rovers had a 4 litre, I believe, aluminum V8, and some of them were supercharged. So if I could pick up something like that, that's a definite possibility. Dean Stevenson, does this Valiant Charger make my hips look big? I heard a comedian, it was a while ago, he was talking about his wife and the things she'd ask him, and she apparently said to him one day, do these pants make my ass look big? And his response was, no, your big ass makes your big ass look big. Like, oh, yeah. So, yes, it could be the Charger making your hips look big, but no, I'm going to say probably not. Tavo, Regal is about 200 pounds heavier than a Ranger with the same running gear. Could be part of what they're including. Yeah, there was a lot more luxury in it, wasn't there? Extra padding and seats and just bits of bling. Probably more soundproofing and stuff like that. Heavier carpets, who knows? Tech bits and pieces. LS conversions have been flogged to death. Yeah, I mean they have. It doesn't. The thing about the LS that appeals for this conversion is that it's a pretty cost-effective engine. It's pretty cheap. They're fairly cheap to rebuild, and you can pretty cheaply set them up with the factory EFI fuel injection and the factory ECU. There's a ton of guys out there doing. Working on the computers and reflashing the computers, and it's really not hard to get an LS running with all the fuel injection stuff. Which, as much as we like to rag on, some of the aftermarket fuel injection, the factory fuel injection is actually pretty good. The engines are very drivable. They never stutter and stumble when they're cold. When I know Mrs. Kiwi, like she's a good little driver and she's not shy about getting after it, but if she goes to pull out the top of our road when it's cold and it stumbles and falls on its face with the carburetor, that's only going to have to happen a couple of times and she's just not going to want to drive it. We've talked about that. She said she's quite happy to let it warm up, for 5 minutes before she gets in and drives it. But it would be nice to have, a factory style fuel injection on it. None of the some high dollar aftermarket EFIs are matching it with the factory stuff, but only the high dollar ones. And why spend that high dollar if you're not actually building a race engine, when you can get the GM computer and all the bits and pieces, get it flashed, hook up sort of 3 or 4 wires, and you've got a smooth as silk running EFI all aluminum engine. It's kind of hard to argue with that a little bit, really. Dean Stevenson, I was Essex 90 degrees supercharged Ford V6 vote. Yep, I mean some of the V6s sound pretty awesome. I do love the sound of a V8, and I do like the idea of a V8. If it was, I mean it's a solid idea. The Essex 90 degree supercharged Ford V6, absolutely, it's a solid idea. But what's it going to cost you to actually get it in the car, running well? That's my reservation, and it's my reservation on like the Jaguar Rover V8. I talked with Mrs. Kiwi about that, and she kind of quite likes the idea of a British V8 in the little Sunbeam being a British car. Don't tell her it's got a Japanese chassis. That's all. Just. But yeah, it's if I can get one of those engines at a sensible price, because I'm not going to pay moonbeams for it, and I can get it to run if someone's flashing the computer or doing whatever. And now I'm sure they must be popular, like over in Europe, those engines, and it's a matter of finding the right people to supply you the right computer or reflash computer that will work with. So And it's just how much work do you want to pour into that? So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I would probably not going to go V6. A late model BMW 6-cylinder. Some of those sound just awesome and go like hell. So yeah, there's a few options out there. The trouble with the 6-cylinder is it's long, and we don't have a long hood on it, and we just don't. Green there, where are we at? Josh Homan, if the original one works, keep it. The original one works? Not sure what you're referring to there, bud. Paul Funk, Google Maps sucks. Stopped by a gas station looking for a paper map of Colorado, and they were not available. Yeah. Yep. Granddad's Junk, I'm sure they went to 5 litre. That could well be the case. It's not something that I've looked at or thought about, not had a reason to till now. A couple of people kind of floated that idea, and along with a 215 Buick aluminum V8, which too small, and no one's making the trick bits for them or anything like that. So the 215 Buick's not happening, although that's what the Rover was based on. Driveway of Misfits, and once he made the hips joke, he had to rebuild a Sunbeam Alpine as penance. Hey, it wasn't me that said it, mate. It was a comedian. God, I wouldn't say that. I'm a lot of things, but I ain't that stupid. Now, what have we got? Andy Nickel, there are a few guys on the tube doing some impressive things with Subaru 6s, twin turbos, etc. Yeah, they sound good. They do sound good. But you're going to have physical dimensional issues with a flat 6 in the front of that Sunbeam. If you were going to do that, you'd have to get like a Subaru chassis, I think, with the rails suitable distance apart, to fit that wide engine in between. It's a great option because the center of gravity is low on the Subaru engines and that kind of thing. It's just not going to fit. That is a narrow little car. It is a narrow little car. And while I'm moving the fenders out a couple of inches each way, which is going to make it more typical width, the rails are not going to be, that doesn't move. Moving the fenders out does not move the rails further apart. Tim Miller, thinking Sunbeam with a 302, 30 over and a 75 big stick. Trans 4-speed, that in the fourth gear is more than 1 to 1.3 over or more in the Ford trucks and vans. And then Beagle saying what transmission's going to some. It'll be a 5-speed. It'll be probably the TKO or maybe the T5, like a world-class T5, as they call them. But probably a TKO. Nice ratios, nice transmission, shifts really well. And you can put a fairly low diff ratio in it and still have the overdrive fifth, and pretty close ratio, so you can kind of they click through the gears nice. They make one of the TKOs with quite a tall first, which squeezes up the other gears. So yeah, they're nice. You're not like when you change down, it just pops the engine back into its sweet spot. It doesn't over rev it because it's not a big gap. You drop, you increase like 1,000 revs on a down change. It's really not bad. Nice. The close ratio TKO is a nice gearbox. Josh Homan, I think she is on this chat, so she already knows. Yeah, I haven't seen her comment for a little while, so she usually just drops in for a little while, and where she is at the moment, they're an hour ahead, so it's getting late for her. Plus, she gets a bit bored with all this boy talk. She comes in for a little bit and just to check it out, and then I think she couldn't sit through 2 hours of us jabbering on about cars, which is okay. That's fair. Driveway of Misfits. Wasn't the Rover V8 actually a Buick design that they bought? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. You're absolutely right. That's what the Rover 3.5 was very much based off the 215 Buick, and they tweaked it a bit more, and then they took it out to 4.4 litre, and then I kind of lost track of what they were doing with it. They put a 4.4 litre one in a Leyland P76, which was an Australian car, and Tava will remember them. Driveway of Misfits. A VR6 would fit in that engine bay nicely. Yep. Yeah, it's a thought. Some of the European V6s are nice engines. And it's about done, but we got 13 minutes left, so I'll survive. Yeah, it's a thought. Yeah, in an ideal world, it would be cool to put the Audi 4-litre V8 in it, but budget, man. Those engines fetch a lot of money, and it would be horrific trying to get that engine to run in something other than an Audi that was designed for it, with all the banks of computers and stuff that they had. But that would be, if money didn't matter and time didn't count, then I would seriously look at an Audi V8 twin turbo. Barracuda. I saw a video of someone who bought a brand new Holly Carbon. Both of its floats leak fuel inside them. He had to fit some old floats in it. I had a oh my God, I've gone blank. Edelbrock car. Sink a float. It was 6 weeks. It was on the car. Sunk the float. Had to replace the floats on it. So yeah, it happens. It happens. Oh, yeah, a lot of that shit's made in China, and there's no quality control. Josh Homan, practically everything is junk these days. Yeah, it's all a numbers game. They're just producing them as fast as they can, minimal quality control to get the price down, because we all love a bargain, don't we? A lot of that stuff is the same price or less than it was 20 years ago. So when you think about that, it's like, that doesn't really make sense, does it? Like, what have they done to be able to? Inflation's gone up, like money's doubled in that time, and it's the cost of some of these parts has stayed the same or come down. So what's given? Like they weren't making so much money on those parts back in the day, but they've, and some of it has gone from improvements in manufacturing, being able to streamline production and stuff like that, but not that much, not in my opinion. Granddad's junk. Chris Freeman said, yes, they did. They had a very long production run, 3.5, 4.2, 3.9 injection and a 5-litre. The 5, yeah. In all my spare time, I'm going to start looking around at some of those Rover/Jaguar engines and see what's out there. I might be able to buy a wrecked one, because here a wrecked one is probably not going to fetch that much money. And yeah, if you can buy a complete car and then strip out the stuff you need, like the ECU, and the various things that go towards making those engines run, it might be a viable option, because it's probably going to be an all aluminum, aluminum heads, aluminum block, and a British V8 and a British sports car would be not offensive, it would be not bad. Josh Homan, I meant the original engine for the Sunbeam. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant, Josh. Trouble with the original engine is it made 80 horsepower. And that's just not enough. It's just going to be a dull, boring car to drive. And in 1961, it was probably quite perky, quite a sprightly car. Because it didn't weigh a heck of a lot. But 2025, 80 horsepower is just not going to get it done. And even if you tweaked it and messed with it and you got it to 100, 110, it's not, but today's standard is not going to be that exciting. That's just the reality of it. Tavo, stick with a Windsor V8, nice fit. Yeah, I mean, that's probably what it's going to end up with it. Other than, like this rover option, I'm definitely going to investigate. The VR6 is not a bad idea. It's something to mull over. I'm going to start looking around some of the damaged vehicle auctions and seeing what pops up. Because unfortunately, it's not the show with no budget. It's just not. There is a budget. And honestly, a big chunk of the budget is my time in the shop working on it when I'm not able to bill out hours. That's a cost, even though it's not. My time is free in a way, but that's a trap for business owners because while it doesn't cost me anything to work on her car or my car, it costs me time away from customers' cars that I could be billing out an hourly rate. And, you've got to do enough of that to keep the lights on. So there's the modifications of it are a chunk of the budget, just in time. Yeah. That's it. It's done. I won't top up now, though. Randy's saying, I had one in a Mark 1 Cortina. It was fast. Smoked both rear tyres, no worries. Good cam, 4-barrel Holly and headers. Yeah. In a Mark 1, that would have been a quick little car. Driveway of Misfits. Josh Homan, he was also a World War II vet and an accomplished woodworker. I've missed something there. Who are you talking about there, guys? I missed that part of the conversation. Nick Hendricks, the Ford Barra engine is being used for a lot. Still can't replace the sound of a nicely built V8. Look, I did think about the Ford Barra. I really did. It's just too long. It's just too long. That is a little car. And I think you probably, like even by New Zealand standards, which, New Zealand has smaller cars, certainly than the States, it's a little car. It's like Austin Healey Sprite size car. They're little cars. And the hood is very short. And, I'm talking about adding 4 inches to it, which I think I can get away with without making it look. I don't want it to look like the front's been lengthened. I just want it to still look balanced and still not look disproportionate. And doing that is really going to make it long enough for a V8, which is 4 cylinders long, to then find room for another 2 cylinders. And it be driver friendly still, you could move about, you could cut the living hell out of the firewall and have no room for your feet and that kind of thing, which, that's not the goal. But the Barra certainly fits the bill horsepower wise. They're making ridiculous levels of horsepower out of those Barra engines. Truly ridiculous. But hang on a minute. It shot up the page here. There we go. Tim Miller, all top-loader Ford transmissions, same. No, I don't think they're all the same. They're very, very similar, but there's some subtle changes over the years in them. Andy Nicol, yeah, Wrench is putting them in 911s, so sideways fit. Sideways fit. Not sure what you mean there, Andy. What engine? Yeah, a sideways fit into a 911. What engine are you talking about there? Beagle Bob, where are you cutting to add the width between the hood and the fender, or in the middle of the fender, or somewhere else? Right along the edge of the hood opening, because all the fenders are all welded on those cars. The whole front's kind of like molded in and leaded in, kind of like the early 50s T-Birds were. So yeah, I'm cutting it just kind of like half an inch in from the edge of the hood opening. To cut the fender off, just pull it out 2 inches in, weld it back up. So that doesn't enlarge in the engine bay at all. The engine bay is probably going to end up Miata engine bay. So the rails will be further apart. They'll be kind of Mazda Miata frame rails apart, which is quite generous actually. There's room for a V8 in between the Miata rails, no problem. Well, there is in the Sunbeam as well, but there's more room in the Miata. But yeah, so certainly not. A couple of people asked if I was cutting the car down the middle, which I did flirt with that idea, but it makes such a lot of headaches with the convertible top, with the windshield, all that stuff to take it down the middle. So yeah, that we kind of crossed that one off the potentials. Beagle Bob, I do like the World Class T5. That's a pretty good transmission, but the TKO is, well, yeah, it's an evolution of a fairly old transmission. The T5 came out when in the 80s. And remember, the 80s is 40 years ago. So yeah, they've gotten better at building transmissions. So the TKO it's a better, it just is a better transmission than the World Class. The World Class was as good a T5 as they made, but it was still a T5. Still an 80s transmission. Tim Miller, TKO sounds nice. Yeah, I think so. Well, LVG, thanks for a great night. Off to a car cruise. Oh, nice. Good for you. Go and look at some cars. Paul Funk, I think the Range Rover started out as an aluminum V8 designed by Buick. Yes, it did. Rover bought it and they made the 3.5 litre Rover V8, which was, yeah, they made a lot of those. A little bit small for a V8, in my opinion, but it was pretty effective. Tavo, yeah, I remember the P76. I had one for a few years. Oh yeah, I sold it about a month before their values went north in a hurry. Yeah, yep, that happens, doesn't it? It's frustrating. Jeff Hutchins, it's Kiwi. I'm late, almost completely too late. Mate, yeah, that was definitely, it's 9 o'clock. You definitely left that to the last possible minute. And we've got Mrs. One-Eyed Cat. Hello, Mrs. One-Eyed Cat. Hello, yeah. I don't recall seeing your name in here before, Mrs. One-Eyed Cat. I would remember that, I feel, even after the bourbon. But hey, good to have you here. I'm getting ready to sign off. So what brings you into the room, Mrs. One-Eyed Cat? Josh Homan, good to have both of you here. Yeah. It'll be interesting as we get deeper into the Sunbeam bill. I might get her to like pop her face in here on the screen, and we can discuss Sunbeams in a bit more depth. Tavo, yeah, yes, the Range Rover had the very expensive Buick 3.5 V8. Yeah, and they punched it out to, I think they made Range Rovers with a 4 litre at one point. But yeah, Granddad's junk saying they took them out to 5 litre, which That's interesting to me. Tavo, the Mark IV Zodiac gearbox is a good fit to them. Huh. Barracuda, the car that Princess Grace of Monaco crashed in 1982, was a 10-year-old Rover V8. Rip Prince Rainier had a collection of them. Huh. Yeah, Rovers were definitely upper class. Definitely upper class. I lost my spot. Where did I get to? Jeff Hutchins, Tavo, that's how I do it, but I usually sell a couple of years before the value skyrockets. Yeah. Andy Rooney, famous newsman for CBS. Okay, didn't know that. Andy Rooney, he was a columnist and CBS host. Yeah. Granddad's Junk must be similar size to an MG sports car. It is pretty similar size to an MG. Yeah, that's a fair comment. I think they are a little bit bigger than like the MG Midget. So it's more of an MGB size car, or MGB Roadster size. Nick Hendricks, working on your own stuff and not billing. Accountants call it opportunity cost. There you go. Granddad's joke. Mrs. Kiwi will need a pilot's license. The wee Sunbeam will fly. Yes, I'm a little nervous about that. I don't want it to scare her. To be fair, she will need it takes a little bit to scare her. She's not. But yeah, if it snaps sideways on her at 60, 70 mile an hour, I don't think that's going to. I don't think she'll respond well to that, because that takes some hanging on to when they do that. And the upside is Kevin Tate, the friend of mine, Kevin Tate's, he's got his Miata and he's got the supercharged 6-litre LS in it. So that thing's making massive horsepower, and that's the whole car is a Miata. And it's actually quite well behaved. If you really provoke it, it'll bite back, shall we say. But it's pretty well mannered for the most part, and that's got 200, 50% more horsepower than I'm looking. He's in the 600s, and I'm looking for like 400-ish. Because we're not going to have a super noisy open exhaust on it. It's going to be very quiet, very mild mannered looking kind of car. It's not going to have big cams and or anything like that. It's just going to rely on displacement and torque. 400 and the Miata chassis is actually a very, very good chassis. The cars handle well. It's independent rear. They get quite a lot of traction. But yeah, she will definitely get her out there and do some like track day type stuff, or at least driving school type stuff, where she can get out there and actually find out what it will and won't do, rather than finding out, when she flicks it down again on the interstate to go around someone and suddenly she's facing the wrong way. That I don't want that to happen. So we'll probably get her, not me, but someone to do some, maybe like a little driving school type, competition type driving stuff, where she can actually get on the car and give it hell and find out in a more controlled environment what it will and won't do. Because I don't want it scaring her and putting her off. And I don't want her to hurt herself either. That the best case scenario would be she would get scared of it and not want to drive it. Best case, worst case, but the worst case is that it hurts her, and that wouldn't be good. Jeff Hutchins, and now the rest of the story. Yes. Tech bits and pieces. Sideways fit by maybe meaning east-west. Well, that's what he figured he meant, but how the hell would you put an east-west motor in the back of a Porsche? That's lost me. Barracuda, considering the Tiger came with a Windsor, what's the difficulty fitting a Windsor into the Sunbeam? I must have missed something. No, it's not really that difficult. It's the same car. The Tiger is simply a Sunbeam Alpine, where they took the 4-cylinder out, put the V8 in. So, yes, the Windsor goes in. They modified the firewall heavily to the point that you got to one of the rearmost spark plug. So I think it's on the left-hand side. You actually had to access through from the inside the car. There was a little cover plate they put in there, so you could actually reach in from inside the car through the side of the tunnel firewall, tunnel/firewall, to get to the rear plug. I want to stretch the nose out a bit, one, to match the Miata wheelbase rather than shorten the Miata. I want to stretch the nose out to give us a little bit more room so we're not so shoehorned in. And there's a little bit more room in the engine bay for, because one of the troubles with these big engines in a small engine bay is getting rid of the heat out of there. So the more room you have around the engine, the more the air can move, to go through the radiator, and it's got somewhere to go. So yeah, a little bit more room in the engine bay. So I guess you could say I'm making it harder than I need to in a way, but there is a method to the madness. So no, you haven't really missed anything, mate, but it's just I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do it in the way I think Shelby would have done it had he not had an operating budget to keep to. Like they had a minimal amount of money to do the upgrade. So they couldn't spend, hundreds of hours on, massaging an engine bay to give them all the room that they really needed. They literally stood up on the cowl with a sledgehammer and beat the crap out of the firewall and beat it back far enough that they could fit the engine in. And it was done as brutally as that. So yeah, I'd like to do it with a little more finesse than that. Is really why I'm making it harder. Jeff Hutchins, Porsche's a rear engine hanging off the back of the trans. I wonder if they're. I wonder if he was meaning that little push boxer that has the transverse engine in it, the little conventional 4-cylinder with the transverse 4. I wonder if that's what he was meaning. I'm sure he said 911 though. All right. Well, guys, it's 9:10 and we're still chatting, but I really do need to get to bed. So yeah, we're just gonna have to pull the pin. But hey, I mean, thanks for joining me tonight. Sorry we were 24 hours out of alignment, but most of you seem to make it here all right, so that was all good. So yeah, Chris Freeman said, all right, all of you Southern Hemisphere people, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Token live stream American AOA Misfits signing off. All right, guys. Well, yeah, have a good one. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for all your comments and input. It's been another fun night. So yeah, and I will see you here next Tuesday. So you've only got 6 days to wait, not 7. So there's always an upside. So yeah, have a good night. Have a good week. Work on your cars and have some fun. All right, guys. See you next week. Take it easy.